I'd like to call the March 15, 2021 board meeting to order. We have all our board members here, all five, and we welcome the administration, the students, parents, and the public, and newspapers to our meeting. And we'll start out with a pledge and the invocation. Please rise.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May we pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this beautiful day, and thank you for those that are here, and be with our administrations and our teachers and our students as we go forward. Keep them safe from the COVID, and thank you for the grace and mercy you show us each day, and maybe help us move forward as we move through these unknown times. In thy name we pray. Amen.
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 All right, can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moving to second, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. We'll start off with public participation. Do you have any signed up?
We have three. The first one being Dr. Todd Davis.
All right.
Dr. Davis under policy BCAF, as well as, just in case, BCBI. We're under a 3-minute time limit.
Yes, sir.
I'll just give you sort of a hand wave with a little.
Well, you can just feel free to come right off. Good evening. Thanks for letting us come back and keeping the doors open for us. I just want to thank Todd and Richard for having our conversations a couple weeks ago on the phone, and I also want to thank Mr. Evans for having a conversation as well. I mean, you know, we're here because we're passionate about our school and we're passionate about our community. There's nothing personal to anyone in here. I have a 5-year-old kid, and I want to see her grow up in the Delta, and I want to see her go to school and have a good place to be. But we have some concerns as a community here. And we felt as though we needed to have a survey to see about what the culture was in our school district currently, how our leadership is being perceived by the community. So 2 weeks ago, a parent group of about 6 came together. We met with Dr. Belcher at the district office, and then we just weren't, convinced that the superintendent was listening to us. So we launched a survey. The survey had 243 respondents. We were shooting for 300. This assessment was literally to sort of just evaluate and measure the culture and the climate and the leadership of our current school district under the supervision of Dr. Belcher. And I think like Dr. Belcher said, none of this is personal. This is just business. We're just trying to gather information and making sure that our school district moves forward in a positive way, but also that we keep our community tight. We have specific situations in the Delta and in Cleveland that require particular care and caution. Some of the noteworthy things in this survey that I'm not going to read to you because you're an adult, word for word, but I am going to say that, of the 243 respondents, 64 of them were faculty and staff from your school district. That's 26%. From what I gathered from a lot of our faculty and staff is they're real nervous to participate in this. They've been, they're concerned about repercussions. They're concerned about, mistreatment, misguidance. It's interesting. Some of the things, though, that we're really concerned about, is that our student internship at the university has been destroyed. In November, our student interns were notified that they could not be in our school district at Delta State University. Our student interns could not be in our school district. So they're shipped to Grenada. They have to drive 100 miles to go teach in the school district in Grenada. And 13 of them aren't going to come back to Delta State now. They're going to go to Ole Miss, or they're going to go to Mississippi State, where they can get their internship in-house. That's a devastation. Mississippi Today just wrote an article about us. It gives us a pretty good black eye about our pre-K programs. So if you want to bring people to this town, and they read in a public, Mississippi Today article about how the pre-K programs are being destroyed, man, that's not going to bring people to Cleveland. And we're losing those people. We've talked about that several times. This survey is not great. It's got a lot of data in it, and I'm really encouraging you that you read it all. that you read the 96 pages of comments. There's 96 pages. I mean, and I've highlighted several in here. And I'm not going to read them to you, because you definitely are an adult, and this is your job as a board. But I'm going to leave you with this. Our superintendent is going to come to you and ask for an extension of his contract. You have to ask yourself, in the 3 years, have we moved forward? Have things been positive? What does your feedback tell you? So your legacy could be this. Your legacy of this board could be that you move forward, you open a new search, and you bring a new superintendent in, or you do 3 more years of this. But please read this data. Please go through it. If you have any questions, I'm the one that paid for the research, and I'm the only one that's holding the data. So come and ask me about it. I'm happy to share any more insight with you. Thank you for my 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, who's next?
Second one is Ms. Sayward Fortner.
I think I'm 6 feet away, so I'm gonna take this down. I know I have 3 minutes, I'm gonna stick to it. I'm gonna begin with apologizing for having to come and beat a dead horse again. I recognize that this is not y'all's day job. However, as a parent of children, 4 children, who are currently in or have been in the Cleveland School District, I cannot articulate enough how important the pre-K programs are to our school districts. And I feel like the parents that are raising concern are being identified as we've been in a bubble, and we have. And I'm kind of embarrassed of the bubble that I've been in to have ignored issues that members of our community have had for a long time with the school district and their ability to raise concerns about what's going on in the school district. It should not cost the amount of money that it costs to get access to budgets and to income and expense reports and to minutes. And it is very expensive, and you're talking about a community who doesn't have the funds to shell out money for copies of these things every month. We live in a digital age. There is no reason those things should not be electronically, not just available, but publicly posted on websites and available to parents. It should not be so difficult to get in touch with our board members. We should not feel like we are putting you out. You've been elected to serve the people in this community. And I've felt discouraged and talked to lots of parents who have felt discouraged. In fact, part of what I want to tell you today is I have 2 families, 2 friends whose children, the basic treatment of the program and parents' concerns, have opted to pull their families out of the school system. There's one family who's very close with my daughter right now, and she's elected not to come back at all after spring break. They've pulled their families. We are talking about families that are leaving the school system and they're opting for private schools. But we're also talking about closing down 2 schools that are community schools that are serving the demographic of our population that is most in need of early learning. And we're closing those schools, those 4K programs at Naylor and at Parks. You're talking about closing those programs, and those babies need that program. They need that early learning. Or else you're going to end up having to hire coaches later on in their schooling and pay them to reinforce, is that my time or I got a minute? To reinforce the things that they missed out on at their earliest stages. And we have a national and statewide push to increase our early learning. And Cleveland has an opportunity to step out and say, this is what we're offering to the community. And yet, instead we're cutting it. We're cutting back on those classrooms. And you are looking at businesses who can't hire employees to come here because they can't offer their employees early learning for their children. Either they're going to be they are not going to be able to qualify for Head Start, or else they can't afford private school. What are they left with? And our cuts are based on this year's numbers, but it's not fair to base those on COVID numbers, because when we come out of this, we're gonna have less to offer our kids than we did going in. The last thing I wanna say is that all the community is asking for is transparency. We want open dialogue. We want access to the budget that is not constrained financially. We want access to income and expense statements. We want minutes. And we want for you to have your conversations, not in a closed meeting behind doors, but we want you to have them where we can participate and we can give you our feedback and you can tell us what's going on. Because right now, we don't know.
Thank you.
Your third and last is Reverend Brad Corbin. Corbin, thank you.
Yes, thank you. Good evening.
Hi.
I want to thank Dr. Belcher for having us meet with him at his office a couple times in the past month. It was good to be able to be in there. And I was glad to hear that Dr. Belcher is doing some fundraising in the community for the sake of building relationships with businesses for the sake of supporting our schools. That's great. Pastors fundraise every week. I have no problem asking people for money every week. And we really want to help you raise money for your schools. And we want you to lean on us because people who support our churches want to support meaningful nonprofit educational endeavors, which a church is and which a school is. So when you ask for the community support, all the community wants to know is whether you also support the community. And they want to feel like you support them if you're asking for them to support you. That makes sense, right? And so one of the ways in which we're asking, in which we ask Dr. Belcher for his support, is to make sure he aligns the calendar, the school calendar, as closely as possible to the university calendar, so that families who have one foot in each world benefit from having a calendar that overlaps with one another. Now, if there's a good reason to not have the university and public school calendar overlap, then please communicate that with us as clearly as possible and begin laying the groundwork for that reason now, and communicate that now. Because if those calendars do not overlap, you're gonna have a lot, and you have a private school that has a calendar that does overlap with the university, what are parents going to choose? Lastly, I'll give you a little Bible lesson. Jesus said, if you're gonna build a tower, before you build that tower, if you go to church, you know the story, you want to plan ahead and make sure you know you got enough money to finish the job. Otherwise, people are gonna ridicule you because all you're gonna get done is the foundation. If you're a general and you're gonna go to war and you got 10,000 troops and the other guy's got 20,000, you need to make a peace treaty while he's still far away off. Otherwise, bad things happen. It's about planning ahead. Y'all are looking ahead at a bond issue that I honestly hope you issue and pass. But if you're gonna pass it, we need community support. And if it's not gonna pass, you shouldn't vote to have it done at all. If you put it out there for a vote and it loses, it'll set us back farther than we were if we'd never had a vote at all. Does that make sense? And so we're hoping you'll lean on the pastors in the community to help garner the support for our financial support for the schools, but also the bond issue support. Because we really want to be here for you and for our schools. We just need some two-way communication. Thank you.
I just want to say, before we get started with the board meeting, I just want to say thank you all for your comments, and we will take them into consideration.
Thank you. All right. We will start with the cabinet update.
All right. I hope everybody had a good break. How's everybody doing? All right. We've been here for a while, so it's been a long day. So I'll start with the superintendent's report. As always, we start with our vision, our mission, and our values, and our fundamentals. Our goals: student achievement, positive culture, community engagement, and employee retention. Those are 4 main goals. So, updates. Pre-K. Glad they brought it up. We're gonna, we have finalized, we're good with our pre-K for Hayes Cooper and Bell, 2 classrooms at each. And also, we got the application today from MDE, they finally sent it out so that we can change our ELC, our Early Learning Collaborative, to Hayes Cooper and to Bell. So, they are still kind of shaky on how much funds that they're gonna get. With those funds, we can do, I think there are 7 indicators that we can go by to spend that money. But what we normally do is just pay for 2 teachers and 2 assistants with that money. And that's what
Can
we'll
that
pay.
money be added to by donations?
Yes, and I'm glad they brought up about the donations. We have set up, I've gone to visit with different businesses that will support our pre-K that is in the Early Learning Collaborative. And so we can put that money in a folder, for the district and only use that for Early Learning Collaborative.
But there's no matching funds with that, it
No.
just adds to the pot that you start with.
You know, with the donations. There's no matching for the donations.
Like if you get a donation to be able, do we have to match that
No.
donation? It just adds
No.
to the money.
Yeah.
All right, on the pre-K, the 2 classes at each, Bell, you said Bell and Hayes Cooper,
Yes,
if those 2 classes are enough to handle the students that we have that have said they want a pre-K program.
yes, actually, we have extra room right now
All right.
for next year. And so what we also
21,
did.
22.
For 21-22 school year. And so what we also did is I sent out a letter to everybody that's at Naylor and all the elementaries, everybody to go and apply to get into those 2 locations.
Okay. If we ran over, let's say we had an influx of children wanting our pre-K program, and we ran over those numbers because of the additional monies that we think we're gonna get, could we add another class at those 2 locations?
It's possible. I'm
Is
not
there
gonna
space,
say
is there space available for that if we could?
it's possible.
Okay.
I think one of the things, honestly, one of the biggest things is space. Especially at Hayes Cooper. Hayes Cooper don't have much space. They have 2 right now, they're gonna have 2 next year. Bell had 3 this year, they're gonna have 2 next year, so there could possibly be some space there at Bell,
But
but
right now, we have for the students that have, and the parents that have approached us about their children being in pre-K, 4-year-old, we have spots for those students.
yes. And I have to check with the principals.
We don't
again
have a
this week.
waiting list.
We don't have a waiting
Okay.
list.
Question. Is one age group, and I'm not sure which age group it is, can't ride the bus? Is it pre-K?
3-year-olds.
The 3-year-olds can't ride the bus.
And 4.
So
They
They
can't.
have to bus them too, they have to.
the parents have to take them.
Parents have to take them.
Hmm.
And, we have not heard anything from the AG about the 3-year-olds. We had to write a letter. Jamie wrote that to the AG, but we haven't heard anything back.
Doc, if I remember right, the 2 classes that they mentioned at Parks and at Naylor, we didn't have enough kids to make a class at either one.
No, we didn't have many kids in those classes.
In the event that it looked like we could, there was gonna be enough to make a class, how much of an issue would it be to add those classes back?
It all depends on what we have budgeted out for the year, and it also depends on for our early learning collaborative as well, if we can alter it or not, and if we can add funds, because they do not know how much they're gonna actually get for the early learning collaborative. It's in funds. We
So,
have no clue.
but if the interest was there, that's something we would look at,
We can look at
before we
this.
could have enough to make a class.
We can look at it.
Well, also, it's gonna depend on what the legislature does.
It major.
And that's what a lot of people aren't understanding is, they could make the call for level funding from this school year to next school year, or they could say, it is what it is. What
Yeah.
your number is what you're gonna live with.
I agree.
So,
And so,
That's what
even,
we're looking at.
and it's glad you brought that point up, Mr. Boggs, because at the end of the day, this was coming to fruition, either this school year coming up, 21-22, or the 22-23. It was gonna come to a head. Because as you say, Mr. Fuller, you know, you have the sheet, we're steadily losing children every single year. But, we're just adjusting. It doesn't mean that it's gonna be permanent, we're just adjusting. So. ACT testing, we had to move the ACT testing, they gave us options. So, the high school principal selected to go to March 23rd, they were supposed to take it in February, but we changed it.
Is this the 11th graders?
11th graders for all the juniors, so no fee is given by the state. So we'll wait for that to see what happens with that, well, they're getting prepped.
Does the principals have a prep class for these kids?
Yes, Mr. Foster has already worked that out. We're also trying to get some software and to help them out as well. ACT is tough. It's just tough. Chromebooks. Our technology department has been working hard, and we're still missing some Chromebooks from what we ordered last year. You remember when you all approved it in late May, early June, about go ahead and buy the Chromebooks? We placed the order, we still don't have them all. So what we've been doing, we've been tagging them, we've been putting out protective cases on them, and now they're being distributed out to different schools. We've probably got 3 schools or 4 schools that we have done. And as you all know, you've been on the board for a while, we had a fixed asset issue that we've been trying to fix. And we have pretty much got that fixed, but we have another audit coming. So we got another audit coming from MDE, federal programs. We just had one, if you remember. So you have to have all these things on hand. By the time we get all of that done, it will be probably 4th down week, so a little later. And then what are we gonna do then? Well, we gotta prep for the next year. So we have another plan for next year about the Chromebooks, but I know there's been rumors going around saying that we've been holding the Chromebooks. We've been holding the Chromebooks because we had to get them all tagged. Once we get them in, there's a whole process, and we found out that was kind of the issue with our fixed asset problem, that stuff wasn't tagged. We're finding things that doesn't have a tag on it. And so it's saying we don't have it, so you all know we have to pay for the things that we don't have.
If you had to estimate, how many are we waiting for? Chromebooks? Percentage wise?
I mean,
200 is just.
about 200.
What percent of the total is that?
600.
Less than 10%.
Okay.
That's
And,
less than 10.
and it's looking like we're gonna be able to pass them out,
We already started putting them in the schools already,
and the schools are gonna pass them out to the students?
not to take home,
Okay.
not to take home. And like I said, we got the fixed asset coming up, the audit. You need that stuff there when that fixed asset.
So they'll assign them to the students, but the students will.
They just
go to
assign them to
school?
the classrooms. They're all in different classrooms.
So they weren't, I thought they were purchased so children who were going virtual could take them home and do virtual with them.
Yeah, we have multiple reasons why we purchased them. One of those was one of the reasons, that's when we thought we were gonna get them early. But we haven't.
But that'd be an option, should we have another pandemic that we don't see
Yes,
coming?
we will be ready.
Well, with the fixed audit issue, I understand what you're saying. The day they come, you've gotta have, whatever they say they gotta scan it that day.
Uh-huh.
If the student has it at home, they're not gonna scan it that day.
No.
So how will we ever get past that in the future? Other districts obviously have, I mean, they allow them to come in next year, so they're gonna do a fixed asset audit.
Yep.
You're not gonna be able to let them go take them home. I mean,
Yep.
how do we get past that?
And we have to work out a good system for it to happen, honestly. And we have to know how many days that they're gonna audit us. Myself and Dr. Harris sat in, 3, 4 days? 4 days.
He ought to give you a list of.
But surely if they've been,
Yeah,
but surely if they've been assigned to somebody,
They can bring them
that
home.
assigned, that should be proof to that
And
somebody's got it.
you'll know if, after talking to different districts too, everybody's having the same problem with their fixed assets that they've let leave their building. A lot of them are not getting them back.
Well, certainly.
And for us, what we found out going through this whole process, for the devices that we did have in the beginning, we didn't have insurance. So what we did, the new devices that we got, we bought insurance. But what you come to find out that your insurance does not cover every device. It only covers a certain percentage or a certain number of devices. And after that, you have to pay out of your pocket.
That's for lost or stolen.
Yes, lost, stolen, damaged. So we spent around
What's that
900.
percentage deal?
One company's 2%.
2%.
2%.
That's like 2 of them.
So
How many out of
for
600?
2,400, that was 55 units.
55 units?
So how much was the insurance? You remember off the top of your head?
Total cost of the Chromebook around $450 a piece with the insurance in the cases.
You're better off not to done the insurance and just self-insured on that.
So, we got a plan for next year of distributing devices. We have a 3-year plan to distribute them. First year will be high school, 9 through 12, second year will be middle school, third year will be the 6th graders, and depending on how the 6th graders do, we'll go down to the 5th to get them all out. So it's a strategic plan, and when we were sitting down talking about it, someone asked the question, why don't you do it for everybody all at one time? Because we don't have the support to do it all at one time. We only have so many people in our technology department. So all the mistakes that we're gonna make next year, we can fix them up and then have it better for the next year. One thing we don't wanna do is buy all these Chromebooks and then don't have a really good system in place and you lose them all, or lose half of them. We've already been through that as a district, so.
Well, I will say that George and I were up here two days or 3 days during the ice, and the technology department was working all day long on both days.
Tagging them, trying to get them out.
Tagging and trying to get them out. Now, they've been doing a good job. Mr. Wade has taken over the fixed assets. He's doing a really good job. It's just a lot of work. It's like building a home and you don't see all the stuff that's in the wall. That's a 2. All right, we got allocated 5.2 million for ESSA 2. Supposedly there's some ESSA 3 money that's coming, but we don't know. But we do know we got $5.2 million allocated to us. We're estimating that 77% of that is going toward clean air. We're trying to really fix our HVAC system. 77% gets us around $4 million. So out of that $5.2 million, we're gonna take about $4 million and fix our HVAC. That's dealing with clean air. Ionization systems, replacing old HVACs. We got HVAC systems that's 20, 30 years old. We got, they're old, so we need to really replace them. It's gonna be something, and it's one-time money, you know, like we discussed earlier today. You know, you don't wanna make a continuous bill for one-time money. So we're trying to get something to really impact, to make a big difference.
But the constraints on that money was mostly for clean air, ventilation, that type. It wasn't money that we could just do anything with.
Speak on
It's for the HVAC system, learning loss, to help with learning loss during summer school. And everything that was used for ESSA 1, we can still use for ESSA 2. But those were the addition to it.
So it's not like we could take that $5 million and go build a gymnasium.
No, not at all.
Testing window, 14 days. We have 14 days before the testing window opens to take the state exam. 14 days.
And how many days is it open for?
We're open until late May. So we have 14 days. That does not mean you have to start on those 14
Right.
days, but we do have a window for the 3rd grade gate.
You're right.
Mr. Johnson, the 3rd grade gate window.
It opens up, March 29th. That's when it opens up.
Let me ask this question that I know the answer to, but I don't want you to answer it. Why in the world are we taking tests if it's not gonna count?
Because the state told us we had to.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have an option.
What's the value in that?
For actually, what I believe is gonna happen, the state needs the data for next year. Because if we don't have anything to compare against, we're gonna be back in the same boat as we are this year. For example, for us to get growth, they take whatever you scored the year before and they measure it against what you scored the current year. And that's how you get your growth, to say if you net growth or not. Well, right now, we don't have any test data to say that anybody grew. And if we do it again this year, we'll be in the same boat next year. So they need the data. And it's good for school districts too, so you can see your data too, to see how you've grown. But we take assessments all through the year, so we have an idea, but this is the real deal, so it'll give you a chance to see it.
So we'll be able to tell whether we're as far ahead as we'd like to be or as far behind as we think we are.
The only thing that they can really measure is proficiency. They can't measure growth. So we can say that our proficiency numbers went up or our proficiency numbers went down.
I'm more concerned with just where our kids are after being home, as long as they've been at home.
I agree. Admin meetings, I've had,
Excuse me, the 3rd grade reading gate is not gonna count either?
no, it's not gonna count this year.
Thank you, Lord.
I've had a few meetings, this month, well, in the month, since we met. Admin, we had our first MTSS focus group, it's addressing learning loss and interventions. That was with the teachers. So, we have an MTSS committee that's formed, it's led by Dr. McCarty. and, it's pretty good. Met with the Rotary, thank you, Mr. Fuller, for getting me invited. Talked to the Rotary about some different things that we're trying to do. Also met with the, Sunshine Masonic Lodge, went to one of their meetings. Talked about the crime in the area, what can be done, different things that school district can do to help. Also talked to some community members about, school calendar, pre-K, just the whole 9 yards of what academics is for us. So it was a pretty good meeting.
What is your admin meeting?
Admins with all the administrators, we meet once a month, actually, we meet twice a month. We meet once a month as a whole group, we meet once a month, one-on-one, to talk about their strategic plan, how they're progressing through it, and, we have professional development on different things throughout when we meet all as a group.
Do you meet after the board meeting?
No,
Y'all don't discuss?
we
What-
discuss it doing that, we
Okay.
discuss things of that nature.
Okay.
We had the 2021 Bolivar County Spelling Bee winner was Rehan Reza. Did I say it right? Rehan Reza. The young man, I can't spell all those words. It's hard, very hard. But it was great participation. Ms. Thompson and her crew put that on. That was really good. Very organized. It was a really good thing for those kids. And it was streamed through YouTube.
She picked the words out?
I have no idea. We have a Proud of Teaching Award by Coach Joyce Aycock at Vail Academy. She won this award. Very proud to have somebody win something. All the time we get somebody to win something, we want to recognize them. It's very good. And the last one that I did not put on here was to congratulate Dr. McCarty. She defended her dissertation a couple weeks ago. Got finished with it, man. That's a task at hand. So we go to the business. Ms. Kennedy.
Good evening. Financials. The financials for January 2021. The bank reconciliation, cash on hand for the district maintenance was a little over 7.8 million. The payroll account had about 500. Can't see that. Okay, hold on. Okay, let me look at my own notes. But I can't see that far. Your accounts payable had about 1.1 million. Food service had about 416,000 on hand. Fund balance, all funds as of January 31st, 2021 was 12.6 million. Last year this time we were at 9.5 million. So got a difference of about 3.1 million. The district fund balance is at 7.7 million through January 31st. Last year we were about 4.9 million, a difference of about 2.7 million. If you go to your revenues and receipts.
Go to the next one.
Your revenues received through January 31st, 16.7 million. Last year through January 31st, we had received about 14.9 million. And you see the difference there in the statement of expenditures. Through January 31st, you got 19.8 million. Last year this time we had about 19.6 million with a difference of about 177,000.
Where's the 5.2 million, money that we were just discussing? What fund?
The ESSA one.
That's
The
a
ESSA,
two.
and that's part of Title Point. She has not received that fund yet, it's just the allocation.
Because you put up all funds,
As
and
of
at
what
some
we
point
have.
it will show up in
Yes.
that
Yeah.
account,
Yes.
all funds.
And if there are no other questions, that concludes my superintendent's report. You all have all the different departments listed on the PowerPoint. I thank you for your patience.
All right, that concludes the cabinet update. Can I get a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve.
A second?
Second.
Been motion and second to approve cabinet update. All those in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. All right, approval of consent agenda. Short list.
That's insane.
That's short.
I've never seen one that short.
I make a motion to approve.
All right, been motion, can I get a second?
Second.
Motion second to approve, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. All right, set date and time, next regular board meeting for Monday, April 12th at 6 p.m.
I'm good with it.
I'm good.
Fine.
Everybody good? Can we get a motion?
Make a motion to set the next time of board meeting for Monday the 12th at 6 p.m.
Get a second?
I say.
The motion second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Do we
Ayes
need
have it.
a motion for that work session?
Nah, all right then. All right. The claims docket, anybody got any questions?
I'm gonna let her off the hook. I'm back here texting to you, nothing anyway.
All right, can I get a motion to approve the claims docket as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. All right, removing table and approval for district to switch to Central Access Corporation for Marathon software. Needed being more updated and more efficient in accounting practices and reports. We discussed this last week at length. Y'all still positive that we got to do this?
I'm still bothered with it.
I'll tell you, we had a situation, that, Mr. Evans, you asked me for a piece of information.
Mhm.
And, I told you I was gonna give it to you that day, because you came in the AM, you
Yeah.
came, and I said, that's easy. I'll get that to you before the day's out. Well, it took 2 days. And the reason it took 2 days is that Ms. Kennedy could not pull the data. We had to call someone, the person that's in the system, we have to call that person to get us the data, because she couldn't pull it. We had to tell them what we wanted pulled. It was easy, it's simple. And, but they had to email it to Ms. Kennedy, and then therefore she had to give it to me, and then explain to me, and then I could give it to Mr. Evans. So that's one of the major things, and we were going through an audit a few weeks ago, and the guy that did the audit, I think he wrote us a letter telling us about, we need to switch. And there's only a handful of people in the state that's using what we still use. Everything that we get is in a PDF. It doesn't come in an Excel sheet that we can go through and do different things with to make it really more efficient and easy.
And we own our information. If at some point, you know, it's not one of these things that we've run into before, like on websites. We get all the way up to the end.
It's
and
not
we don't
out
own
on the
nothing.
cloud.
In the cloud.
It belongs to us. I mean, you'll have
It's
it all.
still back up to the server.
It's
Was
just new functioning software because they're not supporting our existing software. Is that what y'all were saying?
I think our reservations last time was because of cuts and being able to afford it.
And we have that figured out too, to make sure we can afford it.
It's gonna fit in the budget.
Mhm.
And if you look at your spreadsheet, you'll see that in the first year, your difference is only about $18,000 more that you're paying for the software. In the second year, you wanna go down, you're only gonna pay about $12,000 more. So,
Than what we currently pay.
right, this is just the difference in addition to what you're currently paying. So, the first year, like I said, you're having an increase because it's their first year of setup, but the second year, you're only gonna pay about an extra $13,000 more than what you're paying now with the software that we have.
All right, then with the fingerprint check-in and all that?
Right, we have, you can set it up to be how you want, you can do the app, you can do it from your laptop, or you can have them go to a clock.
But
But
like
the
y'all
more
said,
you-
y'all want to go to the cloud.
The more you add, the more it
What
costs.
it's gonna cost?
Right, but with what we're based in, we're doing a clock, we're not asking for fingers and all that right now. We asking for the app, for them to be able to do it from their laptops or their desktops, or the clock. Cause I think that was more of a security type feature.
They can't do it from home, can
No, you can't do it from home,
they? Check in from home.
no.
All right, it's up to y'all.
But it's not gonna be with a thumbprint, the clock in.
It costs more to do it like that, don't it?
Yes,
It costs more or no?
yes, it does.
That's the start.
To use the fingerprint.
We use the finger.
We're gonna stick with the clock.
Well, where did we get 36,000 from last time, or 39, some thousand, because I thought it was a
think you were looking
teacher's
at the
salary.
total cost of the 47, maybe.
thousand?
But, yeah, but then I told you the comparison to how much more you're gonna do with the difference in cost that you're gonna pay. And you were looking at the total cost.
Right, we didn't have this kind of breakdown.
Didn't have it
That was
before,
one
did
of
we?
the, that was one of the requests, I think, from last time
Mhm.
that you wanted.
It's just what benefits are gonna be, what cost savings are we gonna get? What errors are we gonna eliminate? What, I think the question came up about cost of running reports and photocopying, whereas this software will allow us to be able to,
Yeah, cause right now you're having to, again, print everything. There's no ability to just pull something up and then save it and look at it on the screen, so it's just about functionality, it's about.
that just shows how antiquated our software is.
So when you do our claims docket, you're having to print it out, scan it back in and send it to us.
Yes,
Where with this, you'll be able to send us the claims docket, even if we ask for it in the middle of the month, or whenever, you'll be able to send us the claims docket for us to look at.
yeah, because a lot of times when you're printing reports, you don't have to print everything just to view it, you just need to get information like you
Right.
request. It's just, and then a lot of reports we're not able to access individually and on our own because programs have to be run for those reports. Or we have to call the software provider to run that program and provide those reports.
You say we, is we you?
The people in the business office,
Okay, will the people, will the administrators at the school level be able to access their budget
they still have access. to
and
it.
see what
Yes, they still
theirs
would have
is and
access
run
to
their own
budget.
reports?
Yes.
Will HR be able to do what they need to do through it?
Is that extra?
So it's connected
Oh,
to
that's
all
part of the
together.
package. Well, what do we get for $47,000?
All that stuff we were just talking about.
Yeah, y'all ain't so much. And then she was saying, no, that don't come, that's extra.
In today's world.
Oh, yeah, I wanna see that.
But the report that Mr. Evans asked, I asked for something that was a little bit more detailed, and we couldn't get it. That was as detailed as we can get it, without going hand to say this person, this, and this, and this. We couldn't get it detailed. That was the lowest that I could get it, at that level, and that was still a chunk.
Y'all know what my reservations is. We talk about getting rid of positions and spending $47,000 on a program. That's a teacher's salary to me.
You only spend 17.
I know what you're saying, but
Waste the
golly,
ones paying for it now. So,
I'm just looking out for, I'm trying to look out for teachers.
I'm good with it.
And it's
It's
in
gonna
our,
make everything better,
it's in our budget currently. And moving forward, we'll be able to cover whatever
We'll
the
be able to
annual
cover.
cost is without increasing that budget.
Yes, sir.
All right,
Get a motion to that effect.
Make a motion to approve.
second.
And motion seconded, all those in favor?
Ah,
Opposed?
Question.
All right, number 7, approve form to make land and ditch improvements on property, Township 21, Range 5, West, Section 16, currently but least from student school district at their expense. And he just wants to document the stuff he's gonna do on the land, 29 is what
you read through everything, you good with it?
he just want, can I get a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
And motion seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Approval of MOU to partner with Baldwin County Community Action Agency Homeless Program.
I'm ready.
You ready? Can I get a motion?
Everything's good?
I'm good.
Is this the same MOU we had with them before?
Yes,
Okay, I'm good with it.
yes, ma'am.
Make the motion.
I make the motion to approve.
Get a second?
Second.
And motion seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Approve the request for data usage agreement with Bailey Education Group.
Okay, this agreement is to make sure they understand that any data that is provided to Bailey is owned by the school district. And that information is to stay confidential. We have contracts with Bailey for consulting, and they need some student data, like from iReady, to be able to tell the teachers what they need to do to help improve those students. So we just want to make sure we have an agreement with that consulting group that they understand that the data that they're seeing cannot be used or given out to a third party.
Okay.
And it's the sole ownership of the school district.
Do we not have a policy that states that?
You have a policy, unfortunately, though, as you deal with these private groups, the need for the entrance of that agreement with them to sort of shore up any type of leak use, sort of like when you have the athletic contract, just confirms everything and locks it in.
So shouldn't we be doing that at the time we make the agreement with them, that we employ them, we
Goes
give them
through
the
once a year.
information before we give them the information? Okay. Y'all shouldn't have to come ask our permission to protect our information. That should be just part of our standing policy, that that's something we do in every occasion. that
And
we-
after looking at the policy, like Mr. Luciano said, we come to find out it wasn't as detailed as we needed it to be.
I guess y'all gonna recommend the policy change to us.
It's coming.
It's in the works.
Okay,
All right, can I get a motion?
so moved.
Got a second?
Second.
Then motion seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Approve to amend CSD policy, MSB, student teaching and internship.
Carl, you've been over this?
I've looked at it.
Could you explain to what it is?
I think you might wanna go over some more.
So, with the current policy that we have, it doesn't state that we can collaborate with, secondary institutions and agencies. And so, with partnering with those agencies, in our policy, we need to state that we are able to collaborate. And so, currently how it is just more so the district is, making all the decisions, but if we wanna partner with, institutions like Delta State, it will have to be a collaboration, because with the student interns, they're coming into our district as well, and so they have their own plans and their own, the procedures. And so currently how it states, the district makes all of those decisions, and so we updated the policy so that it read as a collaborative effort. And so that'll cover us with, any type of partnership that we have.
Is that what the problem we had this spring about the interns coming here?
Yes.
Yes, and we work with Delta State on a few Zoom meetings, so it's not us that's doing it. We're all in on the meeting, giving suggestions, coming up with procedures and processes to make it seamless, so we don't have to go through this again. So,
So this aligns us
With Delta State.
with, or any other
yes,
collaborative, or whatever.
yes. We
Or
good to
you've
go.
been through it.
And this will automatically renew every year, because it was my understanding.
We
that
just
the
have to bring it
reason
to y'all.
That happened was because there wasn't an agreement.
There was MOU.
In order.
That we didn't.
It was
never got
expired,
back to
and
us.
Delta State couldn't meet with us quick enough to get it done so that we could continue on. But this'll continue on every year, year after year, and we won't run into that issue again.
So we need to put this on the district calendar of things to do with the August meeting or July meeting.
That's right.
Yep, that is exactly right.
There's no auto, you can't really have what I'll call the auto renew.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be great if it worked that way, but every year it needs to come up to where you guys, we all review it,
Yep.
everybody's in line, and then we stamp it.
I understand it can't be automatically renewed, but it can go on their calendar.
To
For
make sure
sure.
it gets on.
At the same time, we get the
That's right.
schedule for the year, which we vote on in August,
Right.
and, handbooks and everything else.
Yep.
Any of these MOUs like this that have to go forward.
Agreed.
All right, can I get a motion?
So move.
Second, go ahead, Tony.
Then motion second, all those in favor?
Wait,
Aye.
do we need to table this for 30 days because it's policy change?
Number 10, not number 9.
Number 10,
It's a policy.
Oh, number 10.
So we need to table it for 30 days.
It has to be tabled for 30
to
days.
amend the policy, you gotta be tabled.
Yes.
I move we table it for 30 days.
Well, you had a motion on the floor, which you'll have.
Rescind the
Paul,
motion.
I made the motion. I rescind that motion and make a motion to table it for 30 days. We have to table a policy for 30 days.
Public
And then
comment.
come back and next month
We'll bring it up
we'll
next.
finish it up.
All right, approval for Cleveland School District to enter into a partnership with Delta State University.
And this is the actual MOU that Dr. Belcher was talking about. So we did collaborate with Delta State for that partnership for those student interns. And so this particular document for approval is the MOU that was created between the district and Delta State for that partnership.
We can do that for the policy. I'll make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Right, Arnold?
You can do that agreement, table the change, our policy table for that, but as for the connection with Delta State, that can work now.
Okay.
All right, been motion
So,
second.
hold on. So from what I see here, this is effective March 22nd, and it'll end on May 10th, is that correct? May 10th, 22?
Yes.
Okay.
But, and the reason why we did March is for the planning. So the sooner we can get it approved, we can go ahead and start planning, so it can be implemented.
For the next school.
For
For the next
twenty-one,
school.
for 21-22 school.
Yep, and like you said, Mr. Boggs, it's always something, we just put it on like a normal approval every year, so we don't lapse out.
Set a reminder. So moved.
Y'all get a second on that? We already second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. All right, approval of personnel.
We got executive session
We're at 12.
with 12.
Oh,
It's on, this piece of paper is wrong, we still have personnel.
Approval of personnel doesn't have a number by it.
all right, so we on personnel?
But I'd like to pull it off.
Yeah.
For executive session,
Yes.
there's some qualification
Yes.
discussions we need to have.
We're gonna
Yes.
pull off the whole
Specifics.
personnel list?
Yes, yes, sir, Mr. Evans.
All right. Can I get a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Colin made it, I second.
All right, pull it off the executive session. All right, can I get a motion to consider executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second to consider, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. State reason for executive session. Personnel,
Student
student
misconduct.
misconduct, legal matters.
Yep.
All right, can I get a motion to go in executive session for those stated reasons?
I make the motion.
A second.
Then motion second to go in out for those stated reasons. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. We'll take a 5-minute break.